my ego mind identity character that I had developed in order to function in this world, if I continue to sort of play that character and not really be the real me, I knew that my incarnation was going to end, and I could feel it. I could tangibly feel it. And it was 2 months later that I was told, I got incredibly sick. I was told I had another 48 hours to live. And that's when I became permanently paralyzed. So I had normal jobs like everybody else. I used to teach sales to corporations, help their sales force, customer service, and things like that. But the awakenings and the epiphanies and the realizations and even what we could call abilities and talents, more and more was coming online. And the very last so-called job that I had, and that kind of takes us into when I became air quotes, permanently paralyzed. The last job that I had, I was teaching sales and customer service and things like that. And it was there's about 75 employees, maybe upwards of 100, something like that. And I would work with them all the time and teach them. And they literally would call me master and sensei at work. And so I didn't think anything of it at all. I knew why they were doing it. It was out of respect and love and things. I didn't ask them. And they would call me that. And then one time, the CEO of the company at the time was next to me, and people were coming by and, yes, master, yes, master. And he looks at me, he's like, RJ, we need to talk. I'm like, oh, okay. So we go into his office. He goes, what's going on? I go, I don't know. Things seem pretty good. I mean, everyone's kind of getting, they're doing well. He's like, no, that's not what I mean. He goes, you can't have people calling you master at work. I go, I didn't ask anybody to call me. I would never do that. He goes, I get it. They love you. And he goes, but you can't do that. I said, well, okay, I'll tell everyone, don't call me master, don't call me sensei, whatever. So I sent out a company-wide email to everybody. Please call me RJ, Mr. Spina, buddy. I don't care, right? Just, and everyone replies back, you got it, RJ. Yes, sir, Mr. Spina. And then later that day, they'd come by me standing at, yes, master. Yes, master. So at that point, I kind of knew, Michelle, that if I continued to sort of pretend my ego mind identity character that I had developed in order to function in this world, if I continued to sort of play that character and not really be the real me, I knew that my incarnation was going to end.
It was like a complete death of one identity.
If you're enjoying the video and you want to go deeper with me, check out my meditation masterclass. It's unlike anything. It's pinned in the comments below.
And a rebirth to the totality of who you really are. But the metamorphosis, the chrysalis, if I'm understanding this correctly, came inside of something that was terrifying to old identity.
What happened? I mean, it was the destruction,
yes.
literal, right? So it was the destruction of the human character or the false self, or what I have renamed the ego mind identity, or EMI. Which also stands for electromagnetic interference, by the way, not your true signal. So I was April 23rd, 2016, I became, quote unquote, permanently paralyzed from the chest down. I was diagnosed with sepsis, severe sepsis. I was told I had only 48 hours to live to quickly make a will. They actually said this to me. I was diagnosed with a retracted heart, pancreatitis, thyroiditis, severe Hashimoto autoimmune disease, type 1 diabetes, and I was suffering from something called autonomic dysreflexia, which paraplegics and quadriplegics, if your injury is above T6, and the majority of my spine getting crushed from this abscess on my spine was T7 and T8, autonomic dysreflexia, it affects your autonomic system, your breathing, your pulse, your heart rate, your body temperature. So mine would just go haywire, just completely out of the blast, stop breathing completely. My pulse would plummet. I would drop 5 degrees in body temperature in like less than 10 minutes. So a lot of quadriplegics and paraplegics die of complications. You can have an aneurysm, a stroke, go into a coma. So all this was happening at the exact same time, told they had 48 hours to live. What was going through my mind? Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. As strange as that sounds, and I really mean that, I have been at peace for a long time. The inner voice, or the voice in the head, mine has been turned off for a very long time. So I don't really have an inner dialogue. I know that sounds odd, but I really don't. I'm just present. So I knew what was happening, and and I don't think I've ever shared this before, ever. I knew I wasn't going to die. I knew that it wasn't a exit point or what I call termination juncture or possible exit point. We have 7. All of us have 7. I knew that this wasn't that. I knew that this was a profound, profound awakening into authentic cosmic consciousness. So when they performed the laminectomy, which is where they scrape off the infection off the spine, I was just outside of my body watching it, and I couldn't wait to get back in. I couldn't wait to get back in. And when I got back in, there's like a moment where I don't remember the whole transition back into my body, but I can remember coming back in, and then there was like a pause. And what I really feel like doing, I was actually gaining more from my higher self in that exact moment. Because when I woke up from emergency life-saving surgery, I woke up. I remembered how self-healing works. I remembered how self-realization works. And I knew that I was going to put myself back together. And the ICU, and I documented all this. The ICU, because I knew no one would believe that it's possible to do this, but I knew I was going to do it. The ICU nurse came in, saw that I was awake. RJ, you okay? How you doing? I said, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to completely heal myself, and I'm going to walk unassisted in 100 days, and I will have no health issues whatsoever. And so I could tell the way she looked at me. I meant it, but I could tell how she looked at me. She's like, well, he might be high from the anesthesia. He just, but I started explaining to her in great detail, the metaphysics of self-healing and self-realization. And I could see what was changing as I was saying this to her, because she was like, wait a minute, this is way too specific. And this guy's way too clear. This is not anesthesia talking. This is something else. And she said, how do you know that? And my only words were, I remember. And just as I said, I told her in 100 days, I had the physical therapists, the doctors, the nurses, everybody film this whole process. And there's a video of this. There's documentation of the surgery, all this. This is not spiritual fiction or a medical canard.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to put.
I've seen the videos. It's phenomenal to see it in real time. Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
It was important that I documented it because, like I said, I want people to understand how to actually do this. So in 100 days, exactly as I predicted, I walked unassisted. I don't have any health issues. I don't take medications. I don't have anything. There's nothing, quote unquote, wrong with me. And so this became the foundation, the teachings of that became the foundation of supercharged self-healing. And I've been teaching these things to people. I mean, I was teaching it while I was still using a cane. When I had first got discharged, I was still using a cane, and I was teaching this at clinics. The person who wrote the foreword for the book was my only guest. He's a Chinese medicine expert. He's amazing. And he was witnessing what was going on. And he's like, I have to write the foreword for this book because this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. So I was like, yeah, write the foreword. So he would take me to his clinic when I first got discharged. And I would teach meditation and what I understand about metaphysics, self-healing, and self-realization. And before you knew it, there was a line out the door. We couldn't get enough people in there. And I started working with people and their client stories and what I call the ascend the frequencies healing technique that I use to put myself back together. And it's the same understandings that now tens of thousands, maybe more people have used to gain a level of health and happiness that they never had before. And that really is what makes up the first book, Supercharged Self-Healing. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, if you are desirous of more of the real you and less of your conditioned, agitated mind, if you know that you can create a life that you're not leading right now, but you know you can, check out my meditation masterclass. It's pinned in the comments below.